Get started with NinjaTrader Active Trader Setups Trading Package. This is our video for new clients. You've just installed your package. You've just been shown the new symbol data load area to get you started, and we're going to take you further into the other steps to get you rolling with your new charting package. This video is brought to you by Active Trader Setups Trading Package, a day trader setups company. Please subscribe to our channel at youtube.daytradersetups.com while you're watching this video. So we've already looked at our new symbol data load, and remember we've showed you that you got to have tick data connection. So you've got your connection set up and you're ready for new symbol data load. You right click, you go down and find an instrument list, and you load that instrument list by highlighting the name of the list. Go over to select all, click select all, and it will load the symbols in this area, and they will take some time to go back and get 180 days if required of tick data. They're trying to draw enough in for 600 bars on our charts. So that takes some time to do. You do not need to do over 100 symbols at a time, and we're going to show you how to set up some symbol lists as well later in the video. But you got to be doing that, and you can start out by loading just a few symbols and make sure you've got this plots on the chart. If you don't have plots on your chart, then you're not getting the data. So that's the first thing you got to do. Second thing you need to do is on ActiveTraderSetups.com, you can click on the Education and Training tab and go down on the page and find this Join Our Email List. Now, this is not the list of all our subscribers. This is to be notified every time we set up a live Q&A that's open to the general public and to traders as well, that you'll want to come and take part in that and do some questions and answers and pick up on some other information that may help you understand more and more about the package. Then you also have links down this page to the training series videos that we've discussed in other videos. Your top education list, you want to be sure to be getting on that list and watching that video. And then the trading and training that we actually post a lot of trading videos on gives you a chance to see the setups on the charts as they've been working from some recent live trades. And you'll want to pick up on all that you can. More videos you watch and more charts you review till you understand how they work is the best thing for you at this point. The next thing you need to do is we've gone and opened up our Windows Explorer. We've gone into NinjaTrader 8 in your Explorer. Go to your Workspaces, go down into those Workspaces, and then during your installation process, you may or may not have a lot of Workspaces in here depending on how long you've had NinjaTrader. We install our futures template workspaces, in a folder and a backup of each of those, because you're going to end up messing them up and changing something and saving it and didn't mean to and that sort of thing, and you'll be able to go back in here and get the masters. They do not appear in here, nor are they accessible from the NinjaTrader menu until you move them into this main folder of Workspaces. So again, we're in the NinjaTrader 8 folder on your Windows Explorer. We've gone into Workspaces, and you need to decide, do you have two monitors? Do you have one monitor? Maybe you even want two different setups. Maybe you have two computers. But if you got to go in and select what you want to use, the first thing you need to do is take the scanner only. This is set to 25. This is set to 50. And you want to get both of those and copy those, and you want to go into this folder, back up one level to Workspaces, and right click and paste those in to your folder. Then you want to go back into your Workspaces, and you want to select, you should already have the new symbol data load over there. We went over a little bit of this process in the install video, but you want to find, what are you trading? If you're swing trading, you'll want the 25 and 50 charts. If you're trading small ATR stocks, you'll be wanting to trade with the 10 setups for small ATRs that draw the clouds with the 10 factor charts. If you're one monitor or two monitor, you'll need to decide what you want to have. And this two monitor has more charts. You don't have enough room on one monitor for more charts. But if you got two or even three monitors, you could go to the more charts. The more charts are longer term, bigger factor, longer term cloud setups. You may or may not have room for all of that. So you want to select. If you don't think you got room for the extra charts, then you can just go with the standard, not the more charts version. Now you've got your small ATR, your 25s, your 50s. Again, I use a 25 for day trading bigger stocks with fairly high ATRs and ranges every day. And you'll know if you're on the right charts by how many daybreak lines you see. But you want to select a couple of these to move over. And if you want to get a 10 and a 25 to start with, that's great. Right click after you highlight, hold down your control key. You can get the items that you want by holding the control key down. Then right click, again copy, and move into this folder and right click and paste. So now you've got these installed into this directory. Your NinjaTrader will not find these folders until you restart NinjaTrader after you move them in. So you want to do this either prior to starting NinjaTrader or do it and restart NinjaTrader. And when you come back up, these new items will be showing in your folders. Now once you've restarted, you'll be able to go to Workspaces and find your other workspaces, your stock scanner, maybe your one monitor, two monitor, and so forth, and you'll be able to go over to those charts. Now I've switched over to the scanners only workspace. This is the one that scans pretty much 25 algo charts. There are some 10s in here, there are some 50s in here. You can really not a lot of need to modify this, but if you want to modify it or want to be on the safe side, if you're making any changes that you've traded yours, just go ahead and take this and do a save as and rename it My Stock Scanners Only, so that you know it's the one you've been modifying. But if you want to just modify this one, but remember, if you bring it in from the other folders and recopy and paste, it's going to overwrite your changes if you don't have a different name. So that's why I suggest getting you a different name, and then you can still keep the other one in here, or you can remove it if you don't want to have as many in your list. There's a video about the scanners. There's a couple of videos about the scanners on the learning website. We're not going to spend time learning about those in this video. The next item you'll want to do is go into your one monitor or two monitor, whichever you may have chosen to bring in, get it opened up. Allow it time to load. Again, if you're not loading candlesticks onto the charts, then you don't have tick data. This chart would be loading anything on a standard candlestick chart would load, but a tick data chart wouldn't load without tick data. Allow this a minute to load. I am reopening this one monitor. Went back to the set 25. And if you're opening up your workspace and you get prompted that items are outside your window, that means you're resolution on your monitor is a little different than the one we use to set it up, and say yes that you want it to bring it into view. It'll take anything that's outside your monitor area and it'll bring it into the view, and then you'll need to rearrange it. So you've opened up our default workspace, and now you need to rearrange it so that it suits your needs and fits your screens. A lot of people don't even look at the connection tab here. They have that out of their window, minimized. I always have mine in view. Your alert log here is picking up your alerts from your scanners from the other workspace. And you can move these around, as I said, to fit them into your, they're stacked on top of each other here. And a one monitor is kind of a tight space. We created you 3 different trading with 3 different color codes here. This one's in blue, the next one's in yellow, and the next one's in green. These are all exactly the same. But if you're trying to watch and trade 3 different stocks at one time, and you're using the bar chart trader, you're going to need to have these open. If you take this stock and you say, okay, I want a long trail on it, it's going to put your order in up here where it needs to be appropriately by the settings on the button, and then you change the symbol, you no longer have an order. You also want to set your stops here, and when the order triggers and you go long, it'll send your stops in according to where you have your button set. You can also go over and you'll find in this is a 25 setting on the wick bars, and you go over here is a 10 setting, and it says 10 wick bar, and it's your blue color, and as you arrow across you'll have your yellow and your green to match these colors here. You can actually take a long or short entry. You can do a long entry right here on this chart, and over here set your stop. So you could enter on the smaller bar, have your stop controlled by the bigger bar. But if you have a stop set here and a stop set here, when it enters the trade, you're going to have 2 sets of stops running. So the first one's going to stop you out, and the next one's going to reverse your position. You don't want to do that. It's okay to use them interactive with each other, but you can't have 2 sets of stops. Now, if you do accidentally have 2 sets of stops, and I do it myself, just close both of them out. But before you do that, turn the button off on the one you don't want. So I didn't mean to have it on this one, so I'm going to turn the stop off, leave this on, and then close them both out, and it'll resend this. If it don't resend your stop pretty much instantly, then just hit F5. It'll recalculate, and it'll actually turn the button off if it's already on, and then you re-click it again, and it'll send your order on out there after that. So be careful with that. That does happen quite often. It's easy to fix, quick to fix. First thing I want to ask you to do is don't walk in here and just start trading. You've got to learn these charts. You're trading something you've never traded before. You need to watch your videos. And the main thing you need to do with this bar chart trader is run it on a sim account and understand how it works and how it trades. You may be taking live trades on your standard candlestick bars against the levels that we're showing on the clouds. That's fine. But don't go in and just start trading something and say, oh yeah, this works, I'm in. Until you understand it, it don't work, and you will not get good results. You need to make sure you understand everything about how this button trader works before you rush in and start trading. We'll talk about that some more a little bit later in the video. I want you to take the workspaces though and arrange your charts. It's okay to keep these stacked if you just have one monitor. Look at your different charts. This is a SPX 500. If it don't have dots on it, then you don't have data for that. This is your advanced decliner. Use this extensively in day trading. That's a shorter version, a longer trend. Watching how the market's turning and moving and how it works off the projection charting just like the stocks do with anticipated trade patterns of the advancers to help you determine if the market seems to be going up. You might want to be looking at more longs than shorts, or especially if you're already looking at some longs and you're expecting the market to try to turn up here, that might be your friend in your trade. This is the little auto trade part that comes with our system. It's already programmed to trade sim trades. You need to learn about this before you definitely ever touch that. And another chart that's in here is a inflection chart. Has yesterday's high and low, the open, the close, some trend lines and so forth on it. That's set to a 25 tick chart just like these are, but it's referencing the prior day's highs, lows, open and close prices, which are all inflection points as well. You can mouse over your icon down on your taskbar and you'll see the pop-ups, the little things you see popping in here with the different charts that are open, and slide your mouse across and they'll flash on and off, and you can make sure you've kind of took a view of everything that's in the workspace here, and then get these arranged like you want them, and then just resave the workspace or save it as my one monitor. Now once you've done that, you've got your workspace ready, and you need to start reviewing some charts from your data you've loaded, and we're going to come back and talk about that and talk about sim trading toward the end of the video. I want to show you some other things you need to do as well as a new client, getting set up for your how to load your symbol list, how to set up your stock scanners, and so forth. Now you've already been shown your active trader setups.com education and training tab with links to various videos. You know where your YouTube channel is. There's a lot of videos over there, and if you click to the trading and training series, these are all work playlist, and here's this is the education study videos. Has your inflection point charts, talks about your bar chart trader, the cloud setups, how you need to look at different clouds. All these are very, very important anticipated trade patterns on the cloud. You need to watch all these videos and become familiar with what you're looking for. There's also a list of videos that I did not make. Sticking to a plan, very short video, Bollinger Bands. This is an awesome, very simplistic video about what they can tell you. These are the very basics of the cloud. You may or may not need to watch this if you want to understand more of the history of the cloud. You definitely watch this guy's very slow in the way he shows things. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and get notified of new videos. Basics of candlestick charting. If you're a very new trader, there's nothing wrong with you watching and learning more about this. We also want to introduce you to the traders area, which is tradermembers.com is the website. Part of it is open to the general public. We have a lot of information in here. In the products pages, you can go to your stock charts. There's 25 customized indicators. It talks about every single chart that we have templates for, a little bit in little videos about what's on the chart, and it also at the very end of each video, about the last 5 or 8 minutes, shows you how to recreate the chart from scratch by setting up the data series you have to have prior to loading a chart template. So it teaches you about that. The first video is probably the longest of all the videos because it discusses more of the things you have to do to make a chart. And then other videos are a lot shorter as you've already learned what you have to do to make a chart, and it just walks you through the process. But each one of these are covered in their own videos. There's still a few we're working on toward the bottom of the list, but most of them are already there. Hopefully you won't have to recreate any from scratch, but these can teach you a little bit more about what's on the charts as well. Little tutorials on each chart template. Can also go into to the contact page, because you can't log in till you get a username and password. Go to the contact page, which is a link to the installation video there as well. But you go down and send the contact page in. Send me a username and password that you want to use for this website. You can choose it. I think it's 4 letters minimum in the username. 5 or more would be better. And then give me a password that you can remember, and we'll set up your username and password that'll get you in to this site. Now, once you get into the site, there's a few other areas that you can view that you can't view from here. It'll take you into this menu. Will appear. It says Trader Tools and Information. There's a couple of things in here on the first page you land on about keeping your NinjaTrader up to date. Shows you how to check the current version of that, where to go to download it, what you need to do as far as filling in the blanks at NinjaTrader to download the newer version. And it also is a video in here on rolling over your futures contracts. This must be done with this procedure. If you don't roll it over with this procedure and you just change the symbol, your charts are not going to stay intact, because sometimes we have mixed charts. We have the micro and the ES on one chart. The ES is drawing, the standard contract is drawing your clouds, it's plotting your VPOCs, but the micro is the candlestick that's on there for micro traders. So if you'll go through this process, you have to have your workspace open. So if you got a workspace you're using for futures that you don't have open at the moment, get all the workspaces open that you use to do your futures trading, and then go through the process explained on NinjaTrader about rolling over your contracts. We also have a little short tutorial video that we made for that. And when you do that, it'll update all of those charts at one time and all of those symbols at one time, and then you won't have to go in and try to recreate any charts. If you don't do it this way, you're creating yourself some work. Other things we have on here, some of the very old videos going back before the cloud. And I'm having trouble with this page loading. I'll fix that. This is just a link to the videos that you can see over on the in this area here. I've got to fix that page. Excuse me. Get back to this page. I forgot we updated this area. There's that futures video again. There's an old again, got to update this. I got to go in and update this. I apologize. We moved these pages from this website to another one so that they'll load like they are on here, big gray. The symbol list is where you need to go to get some symbol lists that we've already created for you. You can go in here and download them. We've got them divided into groups of 100 each. So we got a top 400 list. You can make your own list, of course, but you can go here and download the 400 list, and then you can download where we divided it up. We named it Load 100, Load 200, Load 300, and Load 400. It's this list divided into 100 symbol links, a list for you to import so you can put them into your symbol data load. We also have some symbols over here that are loaded in with their ATRs, and we talk a little bit about finding the right ATR for the stocks you're trading if you're trying to day trade or swing trade. We talk about that in other videos as well. But this is where you go to download those, and you just click on the link. You will get this. This says this can't download this media because it's not media, it's just a text file. So click download the media. it will download in your lower left-hand column. You can't see the bottom of my screen, but it has the file downloaded, and you just click Show in Folder, and it'll pop up your Explorer folder, and there's your symbol list. And you're going to right-click that and copy that and move that to a place you can find it. I suggest putting it in your ATS files folders, and you can do that with each one of those symbol lists. Now I am inside my ATS file folder. I made me a folder that says Instrument List, and I've downloaded all those into this folder so that I can find them to bring into NinjaTrader. So back over to NinjaTrader, to bring in a symbol list, you go to Tools, Import, Stock Symbol List. Once this pops up, you can create a list by just typing names and letters in some of them. But you want to go to Load, and it'll take you to your Windows Explorer, get in the right folder, and then you click on the symbol list you want to load. I'm going to choose this one. And what I do is I highlight it, I click on the name, I copy Control-C to get that name, I bring it in, and it'll populate all those symbols for you. Then go to Instrument List, click on the None item, and go to New. We'll cancel that for just a moment. So I already have this list in my name, so I'm just going to name it something different. But you go to New, I messed that up. Do it again real quick. Import symbol list, load, grab the one we want, Control-C to copy. We open it, it loads the symbols, and when you click on New, it gives you a pop-up to name it, and you can Control-V and paste in that name. I'm going to name this Test because I'm going to delete it later. You add your name. Now you've created an instrument list with a name, and you hit OK. It'll load those into your symbol list. And you successfully imported those symbols. Now if you want to create your own instrument list, just trying to load that in, you go in to Instrument List, and it pops up your list of instrument list that you've already created, and you can find, here's where we just did test. We can go in here and delete symbols, add symbols, edit these. So you could create yourself a symbol list and then add a few symbols to it. Now that's what I do when I'm doing, like, I want to watch 4 or 5 symbols each day from earnings. I select my list and I make me a little list for each day, and then I go back and change those. I roll them for 10 days, and I have 4 or 5 symbols each time, and then when I go back and start over, I take the 4 out that I added 10 days ago, and I add 4 or 5 new ones, and I keep those lists rolling. But that's how you add a symbol list. And then once you have a symbol list, you can, in your scanner, can right click, go to Instrument List, go find the list that you want to load, and I'm going to do something pretty short, like the Dow 30, and you just select all. You can select a single symbol, whatever you want to select, but if you select all, I'm going to do one symbol for the moment, and it'll load it right in and start calculating. If you did the whole list, it would take it a few minutes to calculate everything to be able to start sending out alerts. But this is where you'll go to load your symbols. Now, for day trading, this is my primary, this is my favorite. I took the name, I right clicked, went to rename, pops up, and I just put the FAV in front of that with a space, and I renamed it to Fave. This is my favorite. This is another one of my favorites. I label the ones that I want to load symbols in most of the time. Now, you can't load symbols in every single one of these scanners. Two things: you'll be overrun with too many, as well as you will overload the system. You only need to use 1, 2, maybe 3 different symbol loads of scans you're wanting to scan and watch. This is another one I like to watch, is the bigger cloud on the STS B Algo 25 clouds. I like to watch that one, and then the shorter term and my daily inflections. But you don't want to load. I try to use about 30 or 40 symbols. You may even be trying to trade 6 or 8 symbols. The less symbols you trade, the more successful you will be at staying on top of what those symbols that you're interested in are doing. There's more trades than you'll know what to do with if you just focus on the symbols that you want to trade. And quit trying to jump around. The jumping around will cause you to miss the big trades on the stocks that you want to trade, that you've already got in your focus list for whatever reason. Just a couple of more items to kind of get you started. The best thing you can do, one, is to start doing some sim trading, using your bars right on the sim trader. Use your bar chart trader. Watch how they work. You can also go to your connections, disconnect from your data feed, and connect to a simulated data feed, which allows you to actually control the upward movement and the downward movement of the candlesticks, to uptrend, downtrend, let it change directions, and work with these buttons. Give yourself maybe 20 or 30 minutes every day, when it gets maybe toward the end of the day, time of day you're normally not trading, or just to begin with. You have to do this during regular trading hours, but please do that at least once or twice. Actually work these up and down. You can also go into the playback mode. It takes a little bit longer to load it up. You don't want a lot of charts open. You just want really like one, so you might want to get over into a small workspace with 1 or 2 charts on it and do that playback connection from there. And I do the same thing in the sim. I just have 1 or 2 charts in a workspace to test that on, and run that, let the price on the playback run or let the price on the sim run, and work these stops and have it change directions and stop you out, and watch the stops trail up and so forth. That's the only way you're going to understand how this works, and you absolutely don't need to try to use it until you do fully understand it. And then don't forget, you got your video over on YouTube about the functionality of this bar. Now, you've kind of got the real basics of getting started. Obviously, it'll take some time to get used to. That's why we sign you up for a 4-month package, giving you plenty of time to put time, the effort to learn this system and let it maximize your profits. One of the things trading the cloud setups does is it disciplines you to wait on a really good setup. It also gives you a great trade management tool and exit plans as you trade into these different areas. Now, the best way to start learning about the charts, once you've got some data, load your symbols up one at a time and just go back. Now, this is the main, this is that trading chart I showed you earlier in blue and 3 different colors. I've got 3 sets of charts here. This chart and this chart are the same exact clouds, the same exact settings. They're 25 algo settings on the wick bar. They're trading the same cloud, intercloud, daily cloud. Here's the difference. This has the every 2-hour plot of the inflection points on the chart. So the white ones are the last 3 periods. That'll about cover a day. So if you started in the morning, right here's when the market opened. This was the last bar, meaning the last 2 hours of the day from 2 to 4. And then there's another line right here. You can barely see it. The white dashed dot line is the 2 hours prior to that. So from 12 to 2, we created this intraday inflection point. And then the solid whites, 3 bars back, it's, remember over here, you're seeing in the data box, the 3 different levels, 3 bars back, or 3 back is 2 hour bars. So that's a 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock bar. So that's showing you what was going on yesterday morning. This is a really big inflection point on the next day's trading. If you get a big sell-off into this white bar in the first 30 minutes, that was the prior day's 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock area that we plotted as your inflection point. Now, as the day progresses, you'll see this turn to orange at 10 o'clock. We ain't got there yet. It's the same level it was. It's just moving as the price is moving. And I'm just moving this across. Okay, it just went to orange right there, because now it's 2 hours further back, and once we get 4 bars back, they go to orange and they stay on there for 10. What happened up here is the white replaced the white dotted line, because it became this went from being 2 plots back to being 3 plots back, so it changes colors. And as the day progresses, they keep changing colors. Now that's your intra-session inflection points. When you move over to this chart, it's your daily inflection points. There's 10 of them on the chart. Doesn't move all day. It starts out there, and that's where it stays for the entire day. Now these only plot when you got live data. So right now we've only got the end of the day plot. It don't have anything to look back at. If we start moving it around, they'll disappear off the chart. But they'll be on your chart, and they'll stay there all day long, the same exact spot till the end of the day. The white dotted, as you study the videos, will tell you how all the lines work. But that's the difference in these two charts. They have the same cloud, the same candlesticks, the same cloud levels, and this one has the daily inflection rather than an intra-session. Now the next part is different. You got the bands on here. So we're giving you a cleaner chart, and this is one I usually run my trading off of. You can add this band, which I've done on this chart, by just going to your indicators, and it is up in your folder, and it's the Power Momo chart. And you put that on there, and it'll be solid lines, and I changed these on the wick bar charts to the dash lines, and the reason I do that is because of what you see right here. I've got 2 sets of the bands. This band is plotting off of these bars that we're trading. This other band is plotting off the STS algo bar, which is a longer trend. So right here, when this stock started breaking down, 2 simultaneous blue bars went from yellow to blue. Remember, we were teaching that in one of the other videos. We're expecting an acceleration, and that's exactly what we got. So this is the bigger trend indicated to you just simply by putting this band on the chart. And it's being plotted off this 25 algorithm. That's why we have it solid, and we have this dotted because it's on the smaller bar, which is our actual candlestick bar. And you can see as this starts to break down, when you get right in this area, this band starts to push away. The harder it pushes away, as you'll learn in your videos, the band is showing you the acceleration. It's pushing away hard, which indicates you're going to get a bigger push down. And then this bigger trend that's running off the bigger bars starts to push away hard too, which indicates a stronger push down. That's why we have these on these charts. So at a glance, I can see what's going on bigger trends. I got the same cloud. Now, another thing that's on this chart as well is this bigger, bolder yellow line. This little yellow line that you're used to seeing, the same one you're seeing here, on the yellow dotted line, is telling you the flat line, not the Bollinger Band line, is telling you the value of the cloud line. when you get on this chart, you've got that same yellow line that's telling you the shape of this, but you got this bolder line that is the next cloud up. It's now the ST Algo 25 cloud rather than the ATS wick cloud. So it's giving you a bigger trend. You can move over to here and it shows you VLST. This is a VLST cloud. It's a bigger cloud. It's a longer term trend cloud. And it gives you a different look very quickly at plotting the other clouds plotting on here. And this is the actual cloud here, the longer term. Backing up a level, you got your other cloud here, and then it's plotting you the longer term that you see on the next page. So it gives you some quick reference to what's going on the bigger trend by overlaying it on the charts. Now, another thing you can do if you want to get rid of the inflections, especially on this chart, all you have to do is right-click the chart, go to your indicators, go down. All of these are the inflections. If you only want to see the white bars, each one of these is 10 of them on here. Go down 3. This is your first 3 are white. You can see the color right out here. And then when you get to the gold ones, you can start unclicking visible. If you go down the whole list and uncheck them and hit apply, they'll disappear off your charts. You'll just have the white ones left. But if you get in a big sell-off, it's good to know a place you may bounce from, because these are going back. Remember, the white ones I showed you were going back into yesterday morning and so forth. So I just applied that, and we're going to see a bunch of the orange lines that just disappeared, and we kept the white line. So if you want to clean the chart up a little bit, you're welcome to do that. If later you want to add them back on, they're still on the chart. All you got to do is make them visible again. If you're in a big sell-off, what's happening with those orange lines, though, we're at the end of the day, so these 3 white ones are today. But remember, at the beginning of the day, the white ones were at the end of part of yesterday. So if you get into a huge sell-off, those orange lines are going to show you going back the day before yesterday to the 4 plots prior to that, and the lowest ones will even go back another day. So we'll give you some inflection points when you get into big sell-off days and you're out away from the cloud, you've got nothing to reference. That gives you some reference points of where you may pick up some bounces at, as well as your other days' lows and highs and so forth. So now the only thing I got left to tell you in this video is here's how you learn and start to look for these setups is by loading a symbol and just strictly going back in time as far as you can go back till you start to lose the cloud. You see the cloud eventually disappear. Don't have enough data to keep plotting. And just rolling yourself forward and watch the little things like I'm trying to get through the cloud and I chop around. Am I going to reject or go up? And then you look and see that here's your blue line, which represents this line here, the cloud to the right. The yellow dotted line represents the cloud to the right. So here's your flat cloud. Here's your blue line crossover right there. That's where this, as you were watching these candles form right here, is when this line crossed that line. So now you're long bias. So when you get right here, this cloud is growing. You could get a pullback back into this yellow line. This is a little flag pattern in the cloud. Gives you a little flag, gives you a breakout, and that's a nice 70 or 80 cent move. You just keep going through and watching the red and the green and red line, which is your projection line. You need to watch the video on those charts about breaking down the projection line, anticipated patterns going back to that line, rejecting again. And when you can tie this red and green line in with your cloud, you know it. You start to understand how these cycle and everything. A lot of people say, well, it's Fibonacci. Exactly, it is Fibonacci's. You can measure from here to here and back to there, and you'll get your retracements. You'll get measured moves. That's an easy thing to spot on these charts. But here's your breakdown. So we're breaking down through our cloud, Right here is the blue line crossing the yellow line. That's when that took place, right here. So we're starting to break down. It's going to test this cloud. Can it bounce a little bit here? Sure. Does it? No, it doesn't, because this starts to fade down. When you got this yellow line falling, till this levels off, you're in a pretty good downtrend. So you get this breakdown. Now, this was actually a gap down, but if you saw this in the middle of the day, it starts to fade. It picks up the Bollinger Bands. It starts to go down. And later these other Bollinger Bands come in and start to fade away on the top side. That means you're gaining momentum. In this case, this was a gap down. We put all the candles on the charts because we want to keep all of our clouds in sync with the actual price action. So you know this is a gap down because here's your time at 9:30. The stock gap down. This is where it opened. It gave this very quick 10-second 65, 70 cent bounce and turned right back down and started selling off again. You just keep moving sliding your bar along and watching your price action into the cloud, which is representing what's going on out here at that time. Right here is this yellow line. It jogs down and gets flat again. This is the same place. Flat yellow dotted line jogs down. So right here, as this comes up, the only part of this cloud you're seeing is right where I'm holding my mouse, right before the jog down. So that's how you learn. It goes into the cloud. It rejects the cloud. The cloud hasn't twisted yet. It's not indicated it wants to start going up yet. It rejects the line, sells again. So if you're long here, what are you looking for? An exit plan. Does that mean it has to reverse right here and not go up? No. It can go straight up. If it has something driving it that hard, it can overcome that. But it's more highly probable that it's not. Again, it fails it. Again, it finally comes through. This time, what do we got right here? We don't have much of a cloud. It's got all thin now, and it breaks through. You just keep sliding this on various symbols and watching what happens. This is your daybreak line. Here's your breakdown in the middle of them. This is a gap up here. It chops around, and then this rolls over pretty good, gets down in here around the anticipated spots that it may bounce, and it doesn't bounce, but it stays here a very long time for 20 or 30 minutes, and then it finally loses it. While it's consolidating right here, this cloud, the yellow and the blue crisscross right here. So this is already wanting to be a bearish cloud out here, and it sits here and consolidates from 9:40 all the way to 10:25, how long all this took place. Consolidating the whole time. This is getting bigger out to your right-hand side, and you're anticipating this to break down. You don't want to go long totally 100% against it all. It needs to get way. If it breaks up, it'll probably pull back and give you a chance to re-enter there. You don't want to chase this stuff, but there's a nice consolidation set up. And then right here, you got the shift. Your force alert came in at the bottom, and down this went for the next 30 minutes into a nice multi-dollar sell-off. That's how you learn the charts. They bounce. They hit the white line. White baseline is part of this cloud over here. It's constantly reversing when it hits the baseline or the yellow line, as long as this is still working its way down. If you run up into a falling yellow line, it's a place that is probably going to fail till that thing is flattened out. You're probably not going to get through it. And you just keep watching. Now, this is a gap up. This is 9:30 a.m. All of this happened on the gap up that morning. And you usually have all these volume candles in there because of that gap up. And then you start getting your price action. Let it settle in. Let it figure it out. You don't have to trade early. If you trade early, you get caught in all these violent moves, and you end up starting your day out $200 or $300 in the hole. Let everything settle in. Let everything cycle around. Stocks that you see that are just going up and down and up and down and up and down, get away from them. There's plenty of trading opportunities on much calmer stocks. Now you see right here as this breaks up, what does it do? It revisits this cloud. This is a classic setup to revisit the bullish cloud, pulls down into this level, comes right back off. That's the kind of trades you want to take. They're more predictable. They're definitely more high probability setups with a minimal amount of risk. You just keep watching these charts and start learning how they interact. Depends on the time of day. See, time of day, you get this violent move. This is the first 10 minutes of the day. You say, well, it should have bounced right there. It's early morning. Things are moving rapidly, especially depending on what the day was. Actually, on this particular day, everything was moving rapidly, and the spreads were really big. I didn't take a trade till well after 10:15 on this particular day. Things settle in. There's plenty of trades out there later. That's how you learn your stocks. Last thing I want to show you is how to determine the difference in day trading and swing trading. We've got this nice break above the cloud, the revisit to the cloud, which is the right side cloud, right at that present time. Then we get the break up. And what I want you to notice is all these white vertical lines. Now, on the chart we were looking at a minute ago on UNH, you can see all this price movement multiple times in one day. This is CGC, and you're seeing all this price movement across multiple days. That's one day. This is the next day. The cloud has already gotten bullish. It's broke up. It pulls back right into this level. You're expecting it to come up from right here to right here. This is from 24 quarter to $28. That's about a 15% move in a day and a half off this cloud. I actually traded options on this that more than doubled, and they got 3 weeks left. And I'm in the money. Now, you could have right here decided this is going to go up and bought you a $25 call, probably fairly cheap, that was only good for 2 or 3 days, and it probably would have multiplied itself between 5 and 8 times what you paid for it. I chose to take the longer path, looking for a multi-day run, and I went out about 3 weeks and got in the money. And like I say, I'm already past a double, and I'm looking for another good day up. It may give a little pullback first and then go up. If it starts to pull back too much, I'll just liquidate my position. And this is your bigger trend. This is what it was doing on that day of the 4th right here. This pullback and this right here rejection in the middle of that morning was in this big monster cloud. It came up into that cloud. It hit the level of the right side cloud at that time, and it pulled back. Where did it pull back to? Pulled back to the white line. It pulled back to the trend shift pivot line, and then it turned back up. And right here where it's turning back up is where the little blue pulled back over here. There it is, and it turned back up. And as it turned back up, it made this bigger move out to the right on that cloud. And this broke through the next morning and gave this huge run up all that day and this day. This was about $1 right here, move here, and then went all the way to 28. But that's how you got multiple days. So that's how you determine if you're looking at and if you want to trade a smaller risk stock and day trade it, find you one that's in this situation. It's in a nice uptrend. It's got the STS algorithm, and just get in it, ride it for the day. This is a big, it'll make red candles on a smaller chart like a 10. You can day trade it on a 10, or you can use this as your guide and say, hey, this thing's setting up for a multi-day move. I'm going to get in it in the morning. You just want to hope it doesn't gap up. If it gaps up way up here, then you might miss your opportunity. But in the case of this stock, it didn't gap up. This is where it closed the day before. It opened the next morning, actually made a slight dip down in the first 5 minutes, and then just continued on up. Great opportunity to spend the day in a stock. Next morning, same thing. It didn't gap up. It spent about, that's 9:40 1 when this thing closed. So it gave you full 10 minutes of consolidation right here. On a 10 candle, you'd have had some red bars, and then it gave you a multi-run there from 26.80 to a good dollar run, nice and slow, progressive, a lot lower risk, a lot lower volatility. So choose your stocks according to your profile and your trade. If you got the patience to ride one out, pick you a couple of 3 stocks, get in them, let the stocks take care of themselves. Heck, I went to the bank yesterday and come back and was in 3 shorts, making money. One of them was a futures trade, letting my bar chart trader put me in at the right time and control my risk while I was gone, and came back, and I was making $250 while I was gone. And I was only trading 1 contract on the futures and 100 shares on the stock while I was away. You can trade 100 shares on 3 or 4 stocks a day like this, make several $100s, keep your risk profile very low. Learn what you've got in your tools, and then you can progress as a trader, and you're going to build an unbelievable amount of patience and discipline using this system. Thanks again for being our client.